Good morning, Grant County, Indiana. This is author and inventor Barry Thompson. We're back. We want to share a little scripture word with you. I know a lot of people don't want to hear no scripture word, but I got an appointment with the Lord, and a message to give. You remember in the Bible the story about Balaam. You know, God's people done already come through the Red Sea, and they was on a march. And they was stripping and picking the land clean. Anything they wanted, they just scoop that up and take it. God's people. So when the kings in that scripture went to see Balaam, and Balaam was a prophet, he would announce things and give dates and predict things. They would come true because he had the power of God, working with him. He was a prophet. And they asked Balaam, if he would go and curse God's people. He said he would have to sleep on it to let them know the next morning. But, Balaam woke up and said, no, God told me not to bother those people. Let them go and do whatever they want to go do. I can't bother them. So they done brought Balaam a bunch of money, a bunch of gifts, a new Mercedes-Benz, all kinds of things. Balaam turned that down. He said, no, I don't want that. I'm just fine with that 97 Suburban with 355,000 miles on it. I'm happy with that. Take your BMW and go back to your kingdom and leave God's people alone. Okay, that's what Balaam told them. So they came back with an extended version of gold, fine silver, So Balaam said, well, I'll ask God again, And so he slept on it. And the next morning, Balaam said, well, God told me I could go with you, but I'm not to touch God's people, not to do anything to them. That was a setup. That was a setup because God already gave him the answer. So God said, well, go on then with your bad self. That's what God talks like that. Go on with your bad self. I already told you not to, but go on with your bad self. Tricked Balaam up, tricked him up. Well, over at Living Water Apostolic Church, where I started going when they had me out of my mind on medication they intended to kill me with, I was in bad shape. I wasn't controlling myself. Bad shape. And then I went and told some lies at the courthouse, so I could be watched and investigated, in a criminal way. Put cameras in the house they sold me. My dad brought me a new Bible. It had a marker in it, and it was marked on that Balaam story because he wanted to suggest that I was going against God's people. See, him, my brother and sisters worked against me since I was 5 years old and took every good thing I've ever did, And instead of me getting a house and a new Cadillac and the banking accounts and all that when my mom and stepdad died, they done pulled the magic up at the courthouse with these people who identify as God's people. They identify as God's people. They forged a signature, did an adoption behind my stepdad's back or got power of attorney. And, they forged a signature on the deed, sold the house, forged a signature on the life insurance policy that's supposed to go to me, divided that out, and Dad in the background who's worked with these people all of his life to murder, steal, and kill, involved his daughter and his son. The next thing I know, I had a truck titled with my dad, and, got notice that the truck was no longer in my name. They forged my signature on that. But he allowed me to put my name on that title with him so he could claim we were some kind of great business partners. I ain't never did no kind of business with my dad. I know better, for one. And for two, there's no way that I would do anything with him in that area, that line of work, because it's evil, okay? You ain't God's people when you get in a group like that and just come against honest people, okay? That's not God's kids, And, my name ain't Balaam. Even though I publicly shared scripture to show these people that the curse resides on the house of a thief, okay? and you curse generations in that family when you become a thief. I shared the scripture. Yeah, I sure did that. But my name ain't Balaam. I didn't wish that upon nobody, okay? And people at Apostolic Church were picking all sorts of folks up on Sunday when they picked me up, completely out of their mind on medicine. And as soon as they pick clean of their inheritances, homes, finances, you see them wandering the streets, homeless, out of their mind. The next thing you know, they're gone. They're gone, dead. Dead. They intend to kill these people when they get them picked clean like that. And they tell people that they're crazy. Like me, I'm crazy. That's what they say. But Larry Thompson's a dangerous man. He's unpredictable. He's incompetent. And he's crazy. Really? I'll tell you what Larry Thompson is. Larry Thompson one that will stand up for himself. I will absolutely slap one of God's people right in their freaking mouth, okay, who talk crazy. To me, I'm that one that don't be bullied by nobody. I don't care you got a badge or you the governor or who you are. I will smack the piss out of somebody quick, okay, real quick, fast and in a hurry, okay? But I'm not crazy. I'm not incompetent. I'm not none of those things these people want you to believe that I am, okay? And I listened to a Buck Owens song, and he told me all I got to do is act naturally. I may have to go shave now, but see, right now I'm confined to my house. I'm not too concerned about shaving. But if I set an appointment up to come smack the shit out of somebody, I'll probably shave. That way my mug shot look good, But I want you to reflect on the story about Balak. These people working at the courthouse has routinely, over the years, allowed people to come into court and do criminal things with the knowledge that that's what they were doing because they felt like they were helping God's people, being a murdering thief. And when you assist a murdering thief who claims to be God's people, you become a murdering thief, okay? And Larry Thompson just has some fried potatoes, sausage, eggs, and I'm fit to be tied. Got my coffee, and my check didn't come today. And they think that they're hurting Larry Thompson, but Larry Thompson's lived in miserable conditions his whole life. He's accustomed to it, okay? Accustomed to it. And I won't be running to the food bank. I don't draw food stamps. I don't have Medicaid. I won't be running to no food bank. I'm not going to go out here and rob nobody. But watch how I get by, okay? Because God really does favor people who is representing him properly. Remember, Buck Owens, all I got to do is act naturally. I ain't got to have a mask. I ain't got to be a liar. I ain't got to go pay nobody at the courthouse, and all of those people are caught the fuck up, okay? And at least 2 states. Tennessee's involved too, okay? So is Indiana. And they're working on it. They're figuring that out. They're figuring it out as we go. These people done been televised. This all been recorded. Yeah, how are they going to say, no, we didn't do that? How are you going to do that? How are you going to say, no, we didn't do that? It's too late for that, ain't it? Y'all have a wonderful day. Please listen to Buck Owens. All I got to do is act naturally. See, I don't have to lie. I ain't got to cheat. I ain't got to push any false narratives against my neighbor, to suggest that my neighbor is something different than what I say he is. If I got a blessed neighbor who's worthy of praise, you'll never hear me say a bad thing about him. My name ain't Balak. It ain't Balaam. I don't speak against God's true people. People who actually represent God properly ain't never going to get a bad remark from me. I never say a thing bad about them. That includes my neighbors. But if I speak on something that's truthful, you just accept that as the truth because I ain't a liar, okay? All I got to do is act naturally. And if I worthy of setting an appointment and involving myself with any of these people, I would shave probably before I leave the house, okay? You guys have a good day at Grant County Courthouse and the Department of Motor Vehicles who did criminal stuff. the Medicaid and food stamp office at Family Services, who did some criminal stuff, and our local Social Security office, who did some criminal stuff, and the post office in Montpelier, Indiana, Gas City, Indiana, and Marion, Indiana. My postman came by yesterday. I was watching him through a crack in the curtain. He got up here close to my house. He was going through a stack of mail. It was already pre-sorted. He took 2 envelopes off the top, stuck them in his inside jacket pocket, and then left a piece of shit mail in my box that was worthless, advertisements and stuff. But he slipped the 2 letters in his inside coat pocket, dropped 1 letter in the box and turned around and walked off. He had no idea I was watching him, okay? You see how things work? And, I don't have to play Balak. It was my church that was doing that. They was actually sending and paying the right people to introduce themselves in my life while I was completely out of control and out of mind on medicine that they was going to kill me with. And I don't believe my wife and children would just fall in line behind that without a threat. Okay? Okay, they was told what to do, okay? All right? I don't hate nobody. I don't need to go forgive nobody this morning. What these people has did was their decision. I don't need to forgive them. God said vengeance is his. You watch how he turns that around on these people. Okay, take God for his word. Have faith when God promised to do something. Brother, sister, you get ready. It may take some years, but you watch. It's fixing to be turned around on some folks. Y'all have a blessed day today. I just want to leave that message with you. God bless Grant County, Indiana. All that you do.